Well, I've got chronic pain syndrome, which is a physical condition, chronic illness, of course, which are quite uncommon, and it causes me to be in a variation of pain from time, well, not from time to time, almost always. And then I also have autistic tendencies, so I have things like very sensitive hearing, very sensitive eyesight, and things like not liking to be touched because it's very overstimulating. I'm Carried and I am 16 and I am also a transgender man. The chronic pain syndrome was because of past injuries when I used to play sports before this all started, and my brain pretty much held on to the fact thinking that I'm injured, so it now continues to keep me in like a constant pain cycle, as well as it being controlled by my stress levels. And the autistic tendencies was something that just kind of grew on me without us really noticing anything from a young age, which is usually when you see it most. So a lot of my triggers when it comes to hearing is lots of loud crowds, people talking over each other, very loud noises like alarms, car horns and all that kind of stuff. And with my chronic pain syndrome, of course, it's continuous, but stress levels make it really bad and I can tend to get really bad flare-ups where it's just I can't move. Well, there's not a lot I can combat it due to a lot of mental health issues and that, but I do use physical aids, which took me a really long time to get. So like my cane, I wear headphones during classes and just usually most of the time. And I also, when it comes to my autistic tendencies, I can sometimes go mute, so I can't talk because it just, my brain is so overwhelmed, which then I usually, if I really need to talk, it will be on paper, or I used to use a text-to-speech application. My headphones do not, are not noise cancelling completely, but they work enough to muffle sounds like in the classroom where lots of people speak over each other. It muffles the sounds enough that I can still focus on what I'm doing, and often, if I can, I'll listen to music, which will just completely drown everything out and I can just focus. Yes, there's definitely some days that are worse than others, but usually with my autistic tendencies, that's usually quite consistent, and there being, you know, the constant train of it, unless I get really exhausted, which is quite common for me right now, and then it can bump up the sensitivity of a lot of things. I also can get really sensitive to smells, so I hate the smell of smoke. Well, most of the time nowadays, it's pretty good. I usually, well, now that I have my cane and I use that a lot, it's not a questionable thing, but right in the start of it, when I got diagnosed, when I was still an intermediate, it sucked. My teachers didn't believe me, I had lots of people who didn't believe me, and as we said before with the PE teacher making me do everything, even though I was left in constant pain, there's been people who I've, like, even just like walking out on the streets, I've gotten like the, oh, you're just faking it because you're so young, and chronic illnesses can happen to anyone, but it's so, like, widely not talked about that people don't know that. And usually, because chronic illnesses are invisible most of the time, so unless you've got, like, ones where you've got tubes and that, or you've got a wheelchair, it's usually you're kind of accused of faking. Well, the aids give me the physical needs to make me feel more able, and people being accepting and not stigmatizing it helps me mentally to believe, yeah, I'm not faking this, I actually have this, and I'm doing good for myself by using my aids, and, you know, spreading information about it is always a big thing that I am very happy to do. You may not be able to see what people are going through, not only mentally, but physically. Physical disabilities don't always have to be visually seen.